Yeah, so we have our next guest speaker. I mean, formerly known as Dr. Madhavi Singh, but I think we all kindly call her Madhavi Auntie. A lot of us probably might recognize her from previous camps. I'm sure some of us have seen her. I think formerly we thought to invite people like Nitish Bhai and Madhavi Auntie because they can speak to a lot of the issues that we're talking about from a more informed perspective. So Madhavi Auntie is a practicing family medicine physician at Penn State Health. So she has a medical background, and also equally, she's very well versed with the mission, just as Nitish Bhai was, because I think she was connected to the mission, or probably her parents were connected to the mission. So she's grown up in it, and she's also, I think, grown up here in North America. So she understands probably the perspectives from which we all come from. So we thought she'd be a great person to have, and I believe she'll walk us through some of the more medical perspectives and probably also help to link to spirituality, because we know that people had mentioned in the registration forms that they want to also have just continue to have links. So with that, I'll give it over to you, Madhavi Auntie. Thank you for joining.
Hello. I guess, is it okay if I go back to the screen, because my whole face was in the front. So good afternoon, or Jai Gurudev, and looks like you guys have had quite a busy morning. I was very impressed, Nitesh, with your talk. And I can just quickly in 5 minutes talk about that. The whole basis of what you talked stepwise is the concept of DBT, dialectical behavior therapy. And that is being used very widely in treatment of a lot of mental health diseases like bipolar disorder, borderline personality, and many other similar, very severely known mental health problems. So very impressively, you went through each stages and you outlined it, which is a treasure for all of you. Because, I mean, yeah, we were lucky to have Gurudev, but a lot of kids don't have that stepwise guidance. So very impressive work there. And I just took notes while you were talking. The breath part, very key to it. The use of wise mind, I think you kind of indirectly talked about that. Radical acceptance, those are the terms used in there. And then being aware, the mindfulness concept. So again, remember those steps for all of you guys, very helpful. From medical standpoint, I think the first PowerPoint, I don't know who presented, was nicely covered. I think most of you guys addressed, the PowerPoint addressed most of the topics that are very key to learning. And I think a very important point that was made was that most of these problems start at age 14, which is a very prime year for us to build ourselves. And if we start to develop mental health problems, that really unshapes our future, because that kind of guides our whole trajectory. Hence, I can just quickly share a few of the things that I found in my life that was helpful. So it was around that age that I went to Shantkunj for the first time, and around that age when I started to read more of Gurudev's books, not because my mom told me, I was just intrigued with how well they were written, how the material was so speaking to me from a scientific standpoint. And the gist of what I got, if I have to share in a few minutes, would be the building the core. So challenges will happen, depends on how good the foundation is, okay? So you have hurricane coming and whatnot coming, but the house holds still if your foundation is right. So first step in human development is building the core. And that is where all that spiritual practices come, but whatever Mitesh Bhai talked about is very core to building that, those qualities and innateness in us. And then comes, how do we interact outside? So just like he gave the example, if there is stressful situation with his kids. So like for me recently, I was at work, and when I'm teaching the residents, one of the residents accused me of some, that I'm racist. Talk about that, even brown people get named racist. So my initial reaction was, I was very angry. How dare, how is that even possible? And my supervisor had to remind me, I mean, these quotes we constantly hear, but when you're stuck in a real situation, you then are allowed to utilize all that you have learned. And the picture was, that was a PowerPoint that was shared. Issue is an issue depending on how you deal with that issue. Okay, so no matter what anybody says, how you're handling it. So at that point, because I got so worked up into it and just talking to some people, what I did was I stepped away. That stepping away, remember that very important phrase, step away. What I did was stepped away means I stopped all the communication and started going for hikes and walks, which I had kind of given up, or maybe I wasn't doing as much. Gave myself time to process it, and then brought all my emotion, untangled it. And it gave me a situation where I wasn't interacting with the same person all the time to re-trigger those feelings that I had. So always remember that in any stressful situation, if you step away, all the core part that you have built. So we talked about core building, but in stressful situation, you may not be able to execute them. When you step away, you're able to bring that up and then go back and readdress those things. Okay? Then when we talk about core part, I think Mitesh Bhai has covered, but again, in our camps in the past, we have always talked about physical, mental, and emotional well-being. For me, myself, reading books was a good thing to do. Always, every time I was sitting down, bored, or enjoyed just reading, that stuck deep down in my head. Then meditation. But as a young girl, I couldn't meditate. It was hard for me. Much later, I started enjoying meditation. And Mitesh Bhai talked about Soham. What I personally enjoyed was the dhyan, the Panchkosh dhyan, because it covers all of your whole human existence. I don't know if any of you have encountered that. So it starts with your Annamaya Kosh, which is in the navel area. So what I imagine at that point, hey, I need to exercise, I need to keep my body fit, okay? Then the Pranamaya Kosh, which is in your genital area. Parakram, okay? Pran, Vidyut. So Parakram means you have to have the ability to stand up, okay? You can't be a timid person. So first is physical strength. Number two, have the ability to stand up and do things. Then the third, Agya Chakra, which is in your forehead, the stability. Okay, so you can have all the ideas, and next thing you go to your boss and you start an argument with them. No use, you'll get fired the next day. So having that stability in your mind to be able to execute what you're wanting. So knowing, navigating your way to getting something done. And then Vijnanamaya Kosh, which is in your heart chakra area, which brings the attributes where you have forgiveness, which is hard. Sometimes when people slight you, it is not easy to forgive. But again, as we practice, as we step away, we learn to do that. And that's when we bring out that peace and happiness, which is your Agya Chakra. So I have always done that. Since I started doing it, I find it much more fulfilling for myself. So again, getting in the habit, or even the breath exercise, like Mitesh Bhai said. So I can give you an example. I used to work at the hospital, And hospital census sometimes would be very busy, starting at 7 a.m., not ending at until 7 p.m. Before my kid was Tejas, you guys know, he was young and I would be constantly worrying about him. I need to get home on time. That would make me even not get my work done on time because I'm distracted. And then slowly I started doing it if I'm in the elevator. I would take those 2 moments if I'm by myself, close my eyes and just take those deep breaths. So point is, you won't get a separate time. You have to make those extra 2 minutes out of your busy schedule to step away. Again, remember the word step away, stepping away mentally, stepping away physically, just to center yourself. So then we talked about the different body, and then the most important part that I appreciated about Gurudev growing up. So first, let me share the personal experience at home. My dad was a businessman, very strong personality and very controlling man. And my mom, very religious kind woman. And so growing up, we didn't have many visitors and we lived away from our home state. So we're from Bihar, but I grew up in Gwalior. I was born and raised there. So we were just like immigrants, okay? So we didn't have family around or extended family around. Felt very isolated. And with my dad's personality, we would just stay at home. We didn't have much interaction outside. So not until my mom just started to have more people, and with Gurudev being Gurudev's work or doing yagya, that the house kind of opened up to people. People would come in all the time, which made us, initially we were like, what are you doing? But now when I look back, that was the most important part of us, leading to us, all three of us doing well as grown-ups. Because it gives us a sense of belonging. Number two, gave us a sense of responsibility and connectedness. So on that point, I will share a few things. And what I would call Gurudev as a very strong social engineer. So he created Parivar, okay? So word Parivar, when you look at it from a science standpoint, people tend to do better when they're socially connected. So I think one time there was a guy from Gwalior who used to go to Shantikunj often, and he shared how he went there and Gurudev said, why didn't you come to visit me? And he said, oh, because I didn't want to waste your time. He said, it doesn't matter. If I'm walking upstairs, you still have to come and meet me. I remembered that story. Again, he was making face-to-face contact and spending that 2 minutes of sharing how you're doing. That is more than enough for us to kind of just cool ourselves down. So there is a TED Talk. I don't know if you guys have watched that TED Talk. I don't have it up on the computer, but I can just give you the name of it if you can jot down. And her name is Susan Pinker. And she talks about a psychologist going to this Italian island called Sardinia, and they study the people lives for 7 years and realize people who live longer, what are the risk factors that make people die sooner, or what are the positive factors that help them live longer. And in that series, she starts from, I took a picture of it, hold on. So she starts the protective factors. First is clean air, and lowest at the lowest level, clean air. Then if your blood pressure is being treated. Third, lean versus overweight. Next is exercise. Cardiac rehab. Cardiac rehab is if you had a heart attack, you go through intense training to bring your heart function back to normal. Flu vaccine, so flu vaccine is higher. Quit drinking, quit smoking. And then second last is the close relationship. your very close member of the family who you can rely in times of crisis. And the last one is social integration. Guess what Gurdev did? What he brought was bringing everybody together to feel like we are family. Okay. Then, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm going through my notes. So going back to our topic of COVID, okay, this is the time of crisis, we're struggling. What can we do? Personally, I mean, I'm here almost by myself. Rachna auntie is my closest family to whoever I can call family. Being alone would help me get through these 6 months. I was sending an email a week ago to the resident physician family medicine we have there. And I said, you know, even I wake up sometimes feeling alone and anxious, and sometimes I don't feel like getting out of bed because of the challenges. And the thing that helped me at that point is I started walking with my friends. Instead of going for walks by myself, I would invite one of my colleagues or some of the residents or students and go for a walk with them. In that video, Susan Pinker talks how it's very important to hear somebody's voice, be face-to-face talking. I know, I mean, I used to have Facebook account and there were lots of friends, but I turned it off because I realized that at my personal level, I was very alone. So I needed to cut that off to build these relationships. Maybe fortunately, a lot of you may not have that challenge, but those who don't have much family, they struggle with those things. So again, staying connected, bringing life to the basics. Competing in life is very easy and it's human nature, jealousy, and we all struggle with these things at some stages. And so Gurudev, when he talks about simple living, it's not because it's very altruistic, it's because when you get in that trap, it's very hard to succeed. So just like Steve Jobs, I mean, why is he wearing that shirt and jeans is because he doesn't want to put that energy in there. Same way, if you put your energy into this, then you don't get to succeed where you really need to. Or like, I don't know if you guys have heard that song from Mataji, Insan Mera Devta. And I used to always sing it, and now it just connects to me. It's like, oh, okay, where are we investing? Okay. You can invest into buying a nice car. You can invest in getting a big house. Not that those things are bad. If you can afford it, good. If it comes easy to you, good. But investing in human relationships, and it takes effort. It is not easy. It's hard work. People will piss you off and you'll be like, I don't want to talk to you. But maintaining that, keep trying, because like that video and TED Talk says, at the end, it's the people that will help you, not necessarily how much money. Yeah, those things bring ability for you to get taken care of, but your overall health and your longevity will be better if you invest in the right places. Okay, my phone keeps closing off. Yeah, and then I just wanted to also share a good friend of mine who's an American white woman, grew up in central Pennsylvania, which is very white. She recently wrote a book on presence and mindfulness, and she's the one who often I go for walks with, and she talks about her trauma. I think that is something we don't talk about, and a lot of us may be fortunate, a lot of us are not fortunate, that oftentimes we end up experiencing life events that have long-term poor outcome. The term we use is ACE, ACE, Adverse Childhood Events. that is directly proportional. The higher the score of ACE, the poorer the outcome, the likelihood of mental health problem, the likelihood chances of substance abuse. Working towards looking out for friends and family and intervening, helping them, and providing them the right care. And fortunately nowadays there's a lot of therapy. So the term we use, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. It doesn't just happen in military veterans. It happens to a lot of people who have gone through struggles in their childhood. And there are therapy called EMDR. I don't know if you have heard of that, or cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. So getting help, because sometimes you may be anxious as a teenager, not realizing that anxiety may be stemming from something that has happened to you in the childhood. So reaching out to get proper care, and not being ashamed. I talk to my medical students or residents about my experience as a teenager, how I struggled in third year of med school. Now, if I look back, I was really depressed. But that's why I have the empathy towards medical students, because I don't want them going through the same experience. So being open, talking about these things, those who have struggled, reaching out to help them, or if you are personally struggling, tracing where those pointers or struggles maybe, which is now manifesting as some of the symptoms of mental health problems. Substance use, I think we don't talk about that openly much. A big problem, correct? As a teenager, oftentimes I grew up in India, so I didn't have this social pressure, but a lot of kids do it. Those who continue to end up doing it either may be genetically predisposed, or with their past experience of traumatic events maybe, or they have underlying mental health problems. So someone with underlying anxiety is likely to continue to medicate themselves with alcohol or benzodiazepines. You guys may have heard of different medications. So if that you see that around, looking at people with a judgmental mind is not helpful, because there is something inside that's happening which is making them continue to maintain an unhealthy lifestyle or unhealthy behavior. Treatments are available. Again, oftentimes DBT is a very time-tested treatment modality for substance use disorder. And a lot of these therapy places, I don't know if you have heard of these living program where they offer 12-step program. And most of the addiction have these 12-step programs which incorporate a lot of our DBT skills, or whatever Mitesh Bhai covered. So in a nutshell, okay, going back to Mitesh Bhai's session, remembering all those very basic cores, then focusing on building the core. Okay, if you don't have a core, it's very easy to sway. So building the core by creating values and building a structure, going to the gym is a good skill, meditation, and then comes the surrounding, building your social support system, and working towards a goal that is attainable. Then we talked about trauma, then we talked about substance use. I think as far as anxiety, depression, I think first PowerPoint was pretty helpful. If you guys have any questions regarding mental health problems, I'm open to it now. Is there anything in the chat box? Because I haven't opened it.
I don't see anything in the chat, but I mean, if anyone has questions from Advyanti, feel free to post. We can also unmute you if you want to say it in person.
Yeah, yep, you can always reach out.
I guess quick question, Auntie, is there, and maybe you might have covered it, are there quick ways to detect if a friend or near one is, if you can tell that they're facing some issues?
Mm-hmm. Good question. Again, if you see them extremely anxious, most important thing when students don't perform well, their grades are dropping even though you know that they have been doing well. So don't judge them, hey, you're failing, you're a loser. No, they may be going through something internally. Or if they start using substance, that's another pointer that they may be going through some mental health problems. Getting angry when they're not usually very pleasant to be around. I have found myself sometimes at work, I start to get angry easily because, again, I'm under a lot of stress. So that's when you help them. My colleagues are always there helping me. Then if you're not getting out of bed, okay, why did you miss school? Because I just didn't feel like, no, they may be feeling depressed at that point. Or excessive weight gain or weight loss. Not that you have to point out, hey, you've gained so much weight, but maybe they may be going through a severe depression, which is why they have gained a significant amount of weight. Yeah, those are the things that are coming to my mind at this time.
Okay, no, that's great.
All good?
Yeah, I think if people have questions, like we're probably going into the break soon. I'll let Divya or Ruth or one of them talk about the break. But maybe if you know, going to the break, maybe we can have Auntie on for 5-10 minutes, and you can personally DM her on Zoom or speak up. No worries. Okay, thank you so much, Auntie, once again.
Thank you.